Hello folks, welcome to this video. Here we are talking about RDS database. So in the last video we saw that how to create an RDS instance and what are the configuration parameters you need to give it while creating an RDS instance. In this video we are going to explore the RDS dashboard and we are going to connect to the RDS instance from one of our MySQL client. Now let's go to the RDS dashboard and see the status of the instance that we created. So you see here the DB instance status is still backing up. So basically just after creating the RDS instance, it takes one backup immediately. After that, it will keep on taking a daily backup if your automated backup is on, which is on by default. Now you can go on here and see the connect status. Now we have got an endpoint here. So this endpoint is very essential to connect to your RDS instance. Any MySQL client will use this endpoint to connect to the MySQL server which is running on this database instance. The security group rules that AWS has created for me, shown here. You can go on and click on this security group to understand exactly what rules are provided. However, you can see it here, inbound rule is this and outbound rule is this. So here, as you can see, it has basically detected my IP address, my laptop's IP address, and it is allowing only this in its inbound rule, which means only I can connect through my laptop to this RDS instance. If you have to allow other IP address ranges or other servers, then you have to modify the security group rule. So be aware of this. Whenever you have got some connectivity issue to your RDS instance, just look at the security group rules and see whether the proper inbound rules are given or not. So here I can go and I need to change this inbound rule. But I'm going to change it only when I get that problem. So by that way we'll see what kind of problem comes when you've got restrictive inbound rules which are not allowing you to connect. So we'll come and see it a bit later. And you can see here various configurations that we provided during the launch of RDS itself. Now I do want to connect to this RDS instance. So for that I need to have a MySQL client installed on the system from which I want to connect to this RDS instance. So for that, I'm going to use an Ec2 instance. I'm not going to connect to this RDS instance from my laptop, though you can do that if your laptop has got MySQL client already installed. So I'm just going to create a tab where I'm going to go for Ec2 dashboard. And from there, I'll try to connect to one of the Ec2 instance. So right now, none of them are running. I'm going to just start one and connect to this particular instance. Connecting to Ec2 instance is usual. You have already seen that. We'll be using putty to connect to this server. So here you go. I'm now connected to my Ec2 instance. So what I need here is I need to install MySQL client. For that I need to give myself root privileges, sudo su, and then I can do yum install MySQL. Now remember, I don't aim to run MySQL server on this Ec2 instance. I'm just installing MySQL client so that I can connect to the database server as a MySQL client. So on this, MySQL is already installed. Now to connect to the RDS instance, I need to give here command called MySQL -h, h for host, and then I need to provide the endpoint of the RDS. That you can get from here. So remember, it is under details. Copy it and paste it here. Now we also need to provide the port number on which we are going to connect. So -P 3306, which is the port on which we are going to connect to it. Then we need to give the master username. So -u and the master user that we have provided during the creation of RDS instance. So here I'm going to give Ashish, and then we also need to provide the password. So you can just hit -p and later on you can provide the password. So after hitting enter, it will ask for the password. You enter your password and then connect to it. Now this is where problem will begin. So it is not able to connect to it because of the security group rules, which is allowing only my laptop to connect to this RDS. Now since it's separate Ec2 instance, which is trying to connect to RDS, it will not be allowed until unless we change our security group. So on the security group, now I'm going to change the inbound rules as discussed earlier. So go here, edit, and just make this source as anywhere, or I can simply give the IP address of my EC2 instance. So I'm just going to make it anywhere, which is not a very good security setting, by the way. I'm going to save it. Now, as soon as I save it, since it was doing the retry or connecting to it, so as soon as I change my security group, it has basically connected to my instance. And you can see here MySQL prompt. So now I'm connected to my RDS instance. And I can do here, so databases. I can run queries the same way that you run on any MySQL database. Show databases, and here you can see all the databases which are there. These are some of the system databases, information schema, etc. And this DemoDB is the primary database that we created during the launch itself. So you can go and use DemoDB. And here you can write things like show tables. And here you can see that there is no table, of course, it's an empty database, but you can run your create table queries, etc. here itself. And once created, you will be able to query into the table, you will be able to insert data into the table, and usually whatever activities you want to do with your database, you can do here. So effectively what we have done, we have launched a database server and we launched an EC2 instance. My EC2 instance is right now working as a MySQL client. Using EC2 instance, I'm connected to my RDS instance, and whatever I do using this MySQL interface now, like whatever table etc. will create, that will be created into the RDS instance, the database instance. From here onwards, it's about your MySQL query and it's about your MySQL skill. Whatever you want to do here, you can do here, and the data will actually go to the RDS instance. So here I'm using EC2 instance as a MySQL client, but you can use multiple tools which can work as a MySQL client, and you can run your queries etc. there. So I'm going to quit it, and here I'm back on my EC2 instance. So this is very essential to understand this command using which you connect to it, and you need to have the master username, you need to have the password, and you need to have the endpoint of the database instance. So once we have seen that how to connect to the database instance, we can explore some of the features provided by AWS on RDS instance. So you can just go to instances dashboard and you can select the instance and you can take up following actions. So if at any point of time you have to suppose scale up your database or change some parameter groups or any configuration that you have given, you want to change it, then you can go and modify. Once you click on the modify, it will give you this page, and this is exactly how you created the instance. So you can change any of these features and then click on the continue. So basically it will change that feature, modify the instance, you can scale up, you can scale down. Of course, during the modification, it might be out of service, it will be out of service. So be aware of that when you are modifying, there should not be much load on the RDS instance. So right now I'm going to cancel it. Rest multiple actions, like you can stop it, you can reboot it, you can delete it, you can create multiple read replicas which are similar to this RDS instance, but read replicas only allow read connections, they don't allow write connections. And there is asynchronous replication of data from your RDS instance, the main DB instance, which is this, to your read replicas. So Aurora Read Replica is, as I said, provided by AWS, so you can go on and use Aurora Read Replica, which gives you more performance and better efficiency. Now, what if you want to take a snapshot of your database? First of all, why do you need snapshot? Suppose you have loaded a lot of data on your RDS and you want to take a manual backup of that, so that later on if something bad happens, you can come back to this stage. So you should take a snapshot. Now, if you talk to a database admins, then restoring the database, taking a snapshot, these are chief activity if you are dealing with the databases. So here it's just few clicks. You can just select your RDS instance and then go on and take a snapshot. So let's click on this. You need to give a name to snapshot. So I'm just giving it my DB snapshot. and take snapshot. So it is now creating a snapshot. You can see it here. All these others are basically the snapshots of my earlier databases that I created in this region. So once my snapshot gets created, I can come anytime. Even if I have deleted the RDS instance, I can restore my RDS instance using these snapshots. So for example, I have taken this snapshot 1 month back. Now I can just select this snapshot and create an RDS instance. So I just need to select this snapshot and I can go to actions and I can say restore snapshot. So if I restore snapshot, it is going to create a DB instance which will have a different endpoint, and this will be altogether a different database server. So once you restore, you have to give usual configuration like the one that we gave during creation of RDS instance, and you just need to click on the restore DB instance and your database instance would be ready. So one thing we need to remember that all these RDS instances, this snapshot, are limited within the region. If you have to create an RDS instance using these snapshot in another region altogether, then you first have to copy the snapshot in your destination region, and then you can go there and restore a database instance using that snapshot. So for that only, we have got this option of copying a snapshot. So if you just copy the snapshot, you have to give the destination region. And once you give the destination region and go ahead, then that snapshot will be copied into that region. And then you can go to the destination region and restore your database instance. So which will be basically a copy of this current database instance till the point when you have taken the snapshot. Another point we need to remember is that this RDS instance is basically an on-demand instance, which means it's a pay-as-you-go model. Based on how many hours you are running it, you will be charged accordingly. But if you've got a stable use case, for example, if you are coming from an enterprise and you know that you need to run say 10 databases for next 1 year or 3 years, you can reserve instances. So for that, you need to go here in the reserved instances and you have to purchase first the reserved DB instances. So if you click on that, so if you go here, you have to provide basically your options. So what kind of product you are going to reserve, what would be your instance class, for how long you are going to reserve it, and what kind of payment you are going to do. So this is basically your reserved instances. Now, as I said that right now we are using default subnet group, default parameter group, and default option groups. So subnet groups, if you want to see, this is the one that we are using right now with this RDS instance. If you go to default, you can see what are the subnet groups it is using. So if you create your own VPC, you will be creating your own subnets, and then what subnets to use with this RDS instance, that you can select by creating a subnet group and using that with your RDS instance. Same thing goes for the parameter group. We are using default MySQL 5.6 parameter. If you want to see the content of it, just click on that and you can see all the various parameters. Now you can see there are 17 pages here. You cannot edit basically your default parameter group, but you can copy the default parameter group in a user defined parameter group and then edit it there. So for example, I have created a parameter group called my own param group, and I can go here and edit any of these parameters. Similarly, you have also got options group. So this is what we are currently using. But having said that, you can create your own options group. If you want to see that what is happening with the RDS instance, then you can go ahead in the event section and you can see that what all has been done on your RDS instance. Few of these are what we did in the class. A lot of it is from my previous databases that I created. Now, if you want to get notified during a case of an event, you can create event subscription, and here you can give a name, you can give your email ID, etc. And you can specify that on which event you want to get notified. So you will be notified based on the events. So the source of event is this. So if you select instances, then for what event category you want to get notified, all those things are configurable. So whenever you create a backup or there is a creation of RDS instance, you want to get notified, or if you want to have a deletion notification, you can just select that, and basically it will send you a mail in case of any of these events. You just need to give a new email topic here, give a topic name, and provide your email addresses here. So there are a few more things. You can create a cluster of your databases that will be visible here. There is a new feature called Performance Insight, which is right now limited to Postgres-based RDS instances. This basically will suggest you about what actions to take based on the performance of your RDS instance. So another point is you can see that which one of these is automated backup and which of them is manual snapshot. You can go here and see the type. So all these are manual snapshots except one, which is this one. So remember that automated backups gets deleted once you delete the RDS instance, but manual snapshot gets stored in the S3 bucket and they are there even after you delete the RDS instance. So that's all we have in RDS instance. To conclude, I'll just show you that how to delete an existing RDS instance. You just need to select the RDS instance and go to instance action and then delete it. While deleting, it will ask you that do you want to create a final snapshot so that later on you can recover this DB instance, because here deleting an RDS instance would mean that you are going to lose all your data that you have. Every resource would be freed. So here it is suggesting me to create a snapshot. I'm going with no, and then I acknowledge that if I delete it, all my data would be lost, and you just need to type this to confirm that you want to delete the RDS instance, and then we can just delete it. So within minutes, the RDS instance would get deleted. So that's all we have in RDS instance. If you got any query, any comment, just put it in the discussion box and we'll get back to you. So see you soon in the next video. Thank you for watching.